Hello to my online students for OST. You guys are doing amazing work. I just wanted to pop on here and kind of run through what you guys have coming up. We just finished week 5, and you guys should have turned in by 10, on Sunday night the sentence revisions as well as your list of proposed references. If for whatever reason you had trouble with either of those things, please let me know as soon as possible and let me see what I can do to help you out with that. We are moving on to week 6. We are moving on to chapter 5. A couple things for you to do this week. Not a very heavy week. We have some sentence revisions to do again, as well as a document that you're going to take a look at and tell me what is wrong with it. But I wanted to give you, and then of course your mind tap and your new grammar. Because if you noticed last week, we started shifting now from no more APA video short assignments in MindTap, but instead grammar assignments in MindTap. But I want to tell you about these two assignments. So the first one is sentence revisions. Basically, if you've looked through the PowerPoint, there's also going to be a lecture that's posted with an older PowerPoint, but they're pretty much exactly the same. The difference between a simple, a compound, and a complex sentence, as well as a compound complex. Here, you're just going to take 1 through 5, number your Word document 1, and then identify for me. Is it simple? Is it compound? Is it complex? For example, this first one has a subject, Americans has a verb pride, and then we have a ending in a prepositional phrase there. So that's it, one complete thought. And so that would be simple. Whereas if you look at number 3, we have 2 complete thoughts that are joined together with a semicolon. So actually, yeah. And so make sure you're just, all I'm wanting to do is on 1 through 5, I'm wanting you to do is just simply type in if it's simple, compound, complex, or compound complex. Same with 1 through 5 on 5.2. Here you're just, again, no need to rewrite the sentences. I just want you to identify what kind of fault it is. Is it a fragment? Is it a run-on? Is it a comma splice? In 5.4 and 5.5, we're talking about active and passive voice, which you can see in the text as well as in the lecture. Active voice being when the subject is performing the action. All right, so when the person is actually doing, Travis found an error. Travis is one that actually found the error, so that would be active. And most of our time in writing, especially in business, we're going to write in active. But once in a while, when we want to de-emphasize, we'll switch to what we call passive voice. And so this is knowing the difference between the two and changing from, in the first one, you are, I believe, going from, it says revise voice so that verbs are inactive. So you're going from passive to active, and then on the second one, vice versa. And then 5.6, a great tool to make sure that you're writing correctly. Parallelism is a big deal. It really helps with coherency and with the readability of a document. And so this is just making sure that you understand that technique after looking at it on the PowerPoint and the lecture. And then 3 on getting rid of dangling and misplaced modifiers. So that's the first assignment. The second assignment is an email, and in this email there are some faults. Now they go ahead under the hint at the top of with the instructions, and they tell you you're going to find 5 sentences that have fragments. You're going to find a sentence that has a dangling modifier, 1 sentence that has a passive voice sentence, and 1 that has parallelism fault. So all you have to do, I do not need you to rewrite the email here. All I want you to do is list what you found. So you can literally on a Word document say sentence fragments and then list which sentence were fragments. For example, sentence number 2, you'll see how they have superscripts here, and number 2 says, or one of the other online sellers such as Etsy, Amazon, Shopify, and Bonanza. That's a fragment. And so all you would have to do on the Word document is say sentence fragments, colon, 2, comma, and list the other 4. All right, and then do the same for the other faults as they've asked you to find. So you don't actually have to retype this one. If you want to, if you find that it's easier, you can. But for this particular one, I think it's just going to be easier just to simply have a Word document, list the sentence fragments, dangling modifier, passive voice, parallelism, and then list which ones you found that had those. And they tell you how many of each up at the instructions. All right, so hopefully this helped a little bit. If you have questions after watching the video or after looking at your lecture, whatever the question may be, via content or just instructions on how to do it, let me know, reach out. I'm happy to help.